Good afternoon. This is Media Center, Ukraine, Odesa. We continue monitoring the impact of the explosion at Kakhovka HPP dam and the flooding of the whole region of Ukraine. Our current guest is Ihor Belyakov, the director of Odesa Zoo. He will tell us about rescued animals affected by the Kakhovka power plant and explosion and Dnipro flood. Can you tell us what animals have been rescued and what animals can be now found in the Odesa Zoo? Good afternoon. As a result of this Russian terrorist attack, not only people, but also animals, wild and domestic animals, have been affected. The whole ecosystems have been damaged. And those floating items, floating weeds and wastes have reached the coastline of Odessa region. They brought with themselves small animals like tritons. A lot of tritons have reached the Odessa coastline. Some of the animals can be now seen in our media center, and now you can see the tritons that we have now with us. So these are the tritons that have been rescued. This is the Danube triton species. This is a unique Kherson population. A lot of tritons have been brought to Odessa by the flood, by waters. Unfortunately, most of them have been killed by the flood. And those who are still alive but are in the Black Sea now are also doomed. We rescued a bit more than 100 tritons. And I would like to thank all people who helped us to rescue these animals. Most of these tritons have been brought to us by people, by Odessa residents who found them near the Black Sea on the coastline. And now we have all of them at our Odessa Zoo. These animals represent a unique population, and they should be returned to the place of their origin. As soon as it is possible, we will bring them back to the Kherson region. And a lot of lake frogs have reached the Odessa coastline as well. And one frog is with me today. We will just show this frog. Tritons and frogs. They used to live in water, but they need to live in fresh water because salt water is dangerous for them. They cannot survive in such waters. As I've already mentioned, a lot of such animals have been killed, but now we can save at least some part of those population. And we can say that such frogs can be also found in the Odessa region. That's why now we have been releasing them to freshwater reservoirs and basins of Odessa region. A lot of turtles have also reached Odessa region, and these types of turtles also live in fresh water, and we can also release them in Odessa region because we have a lot of such turtles here. And a lot of snakes have also been brought by the flood. I can show a snake as well now. I would like to show it now. It is a very beautiful and nice snake. And we can also find a lot of such water snakes in Odesa. They are just quite a popular snake in our region, but unfortunately, people believe that this is a viper, and they try to kill this snake. We have also got a lot of such snakes from the Kherson Oblast. The steppe viper can be also found in the Kherson region, and I still expect that perhaps some viper could reach the coastline of Odessa region, but we haven't seen them yet. That's why I would like to call everyone to be careful about the snakes and not to be afraid of them, because not all of them are poisonous. Snakes are our friends. And Odessa region, where non-poisonous snakes live, so don't be afraid of them. I would like to have an additional questions. These snakes, they can live in the fresh water. They can also eat the sea fish, and they can also be found in Odessa region, not only in lakes but also on the coastline of the sea. Such grass snakes can be found on the hills near the coastline of Odessa region, and people should not be afraid of them. And we also have some other animals near our coastline. For example, muskrats. But they are very quick, and it is very difficult to catch this animal. Five times we received information from people about seeing muskrat. And but unfortunately, we were unlucky and we couldn't catch a muskrat. But Odessa residents brought to our zoo 8 muskrats. They rescued them, and I would like to sincerely thank those people who were able to catch those muskrats, thus rescuing those animals because they cannot survive in salty water, and we have already released them in the Dnipro river on the territory of Nizhny National Park. And this is a good place for rescued muskrats. As for big animals, the military handed over to us the raccoon dog, 3 puppets, and we have raised them. But these raccoon-like dogs should be distinguished from raccoons because these are different animals. And also female deer was also brought to us by the military. It was saved from the sea. They called to us, we took it from them, and her condition was really very difficult. That was an adult animal. She was very frightened and she was very exhausted. And our veterinary service should take a lot of efforts to save her. But now she feels quite good, and she will be released as well. Around 300 animals have been rescued after the Kakhovka tragedy, and all of them should be returned to the wildlife. Even those tritons who cannot be returned right now, who cannot be released right now, will be released as soon as it is possible. Have you discussed with the environmentalists the general impact of this environmental catastrophe on the flora and fauna? We know that nature can restore and can heal its own wounds, and I think that with time, those ecosystems will be recovered, but it also affected not only the Kherson Oblast, but also the Mykolaiv and Odesa regions. And scientists still have to identify the number and types of animals who have been killed as a result of the tragedy, and it is very difficult to assess it. We need to have scientific research to assess the aftermath of that catastrophe, of the disaster, as well as to forecast the consequences. Of course, the Kherson region was affected the most, but it also affected the Odesa region. And it is not only about polluted seawater. A lot of organic materials were brought by water. The coastline is polluted, and a lot of rodents have got there. The water was desalinated, which is also very dangerous. Also, it is temporary, but it can also kill a lot of populations of the sea fauna, like spineless animals, mussels, etc. They can be negatively affected by the launch processes. The damage to the ecosystems of the south of Ukraine is huge. And at the moment, I think that no one can assess the scale of this disaster. I've got a question from a journalist watching this press conference online. The question is the following: how do you think will the birds return to nesting to the place of the disaster? I think that yes, that with time they will return, but it can take several years. It is very difficult to forecast anything. I'm not a specialist in birds. And I think that with time, birds will return to nesting as soon as the ecosystem is stabilized. Thank you. Thank you for finding time and for coming to us, bringing some of the rescued animals. Thank you. And I would like to ask journalists to write and to tell about all consequences of the Kakhovka disaster, covering ecological issues and, unfortunately, the huge number of animals that have been killed by the flood, by the explosion in the Nizhny Dniprovsky National Park. Thank you. That's it for today. Please follow our announcements for Wednesday and Thursday and stay tuned.